In today's manhwa variety pack, I have an assortment of romance, action, and fantasy manhwas for you to enjoy. Manhwa titles are timestamped in the video for your convenience. Our first manhwa for today is My Numbered Days of Happiness, a reincarnation manhwa that I've currently read up to chapter 53 on. Its main character is Isabel Belothian, an individual who found herself reincarnated into the princess of the Belothian royal family. The issue? Daughters are looked down upon because they cannot be passed down the swordsmanship of the family. And to top it all off, she also has a time limit to her life, 21 years to be exact, as she has the Navridal Curse, a mark in the new fantasy world she lives in that means living past 21 years old is highly unlikely. Isabel's attitude, though, is not like others, as in her first life, she was a young cancer patient and wasn't able to do things that most other people her age were doing. So in this life, as Isabel, she wants to live her best one with the blessing of 21 years that she now has. The story is 8 out of 10. A cancer patient reincarnating into a princess is definitely an interesting twist on the romance genre. What immediately sets this manhwa apart is that 21-year lifespan in this particular second life. Considering we are starting completely from birth, this will probably have quite a nice little childcare spin on things. The characters are also 8 out of 10. Presented as an individual who wanted to do so much more, Isabel is just so happy to be given a healthy body to live in, even if it is only for a certain amount of time. The people around her, of course not knowing anything, react in a multitude of different ways, but at the end of the day can't help but enjoy or love Isabel's company, a truly loving atmosphere. The art rounds it all off at 8 out of 10 as well, and that loving atmosphere really does shine through, with a blend of detailed characters and scenes contrasted with a more comedic or caricature scenes or sketches allows this manhwa to change the pace of its situations to keep things overall fresh as it moves along. So if you're a fan of reincarnation manhwas where the main character, even with a time limit, still lives the best life that she can, then give My Numbered Days of Happiness a shot. This next manhwa to take a look at is My Mad Fake Marriage to Maddie, a romantic fantasy manhwa that I've currently read up to chapter 49 on. The protagonists of this manhwa are Yulikian and Maddie, an unlikely duo of a couple who initially lead quite different lives. Yulikian is the son of the old emperor and nephew of the current one, and he has had to focus on his own survival to say the least. Maddie, on the other hand, is from the slums and makes a living by all manner of criminal activity such as stealing, fraud, and the like. With a random encounter, these two proceed to a contractual marriage to hopefully benefit each other. But by doing so, the two, slowly yet surely of course, start developing feelings for each other and things may complicate things for them. The story is 7 out of 10. The conditions that brought our main couple together is one thing, but their own histories are something that gets explored later on. And to say it right now, Maddie's is definitely more of the focus, which, like it or not, is a lot more mystery or intrigue that's placed into her hand as she doesn't really actually remember her past or how she acquired some of her skills. The characters are 8 out of 10. Given Maddie's strong personality, you can find the slightly meeker Yulikian being swept away just from her pacing, presence, and overall charismatic personality alone. As these two get closer, you can also see Maddie develop something of an affection for Yulikian as well. Either way, they're quite the cute couple. The art is 7 out of 10. With a fun art style that showcases the playful and teasing interactions between the two leads, from more minor situations and more romantic ones, there's a plethora of fun scenes to enjoy with this particular manhwa. So if you enjoy romantic fantasy stories and enjoy a more assertive and strong female lead, similar to Living Unmarried with My Time-Bound Lover from my previous videos, then My Mad Fake Marriage to Maddie should at least be given a chance. Trapped on an Isolated Island with the male leads is the first of 2 shorter stories I have for you this week. It's a romance manhwa that I've currently read up to chapter 24 on. Margaret is the name of its main character, or at least the one our main character reincarnates or possesses into. Margaret is the villainess of a novel who, alongside the heroine and 4 male leads, gets stuck on an island that caused those exact male leads to go crazy? Okay, what do we have here? For now though, our version of Margaret, of course, isn't the villainess from the original, but she's still stuck on that same island. Now stranded and having to wait for the conclusion of this particular island arc, Margaret will just have to survive somehow. The only good part, she was a Girl Scout in her previous life. Okay, these explanations for abilities in reincarnation stories are kinda getting funny at this point. The potential is 7 out of 10. Secluded island, multiple people going crazy, if we assume the original that's going to be true at least, is a unique setting for me within the romance genre. The thing that gets me though is now that after that initial foundation, there clearly must be stuff that happens after the island arc, and that is what has me at least currently invested. The art is also 7 out of 10. As typical from romance fantasy manhwa, expect the usual detailed and pretty characters in appropriate scenes. It does have some of the more now typical comedic caricature art that at least gives some of the good comedic relief from the potentially overstimulating moments for fans of romance. So if you enjoy romance manhwa and a setting on a secluded island almost seeming like the Lost TV show but with a clear escape point right from the very beginning, then Trapped on an Isolated Island with the male leads is an interesting but title to keep an eye on. The other shorter story I have for you this week is The Demon King Has Too Many Heroes, a fantasy regression manhwa that I've currently read up to chapter 11 on. The focus of this plot is on Burj Diaz, a highly loyal and by-the-book demon who is deployed to a world to become its demon king. To his misery though, the so-called manual of being a demon king allowed the heroes of that world he invaded to defeat him, as the humans or heroes of this world figured out the system that restricts these particular demon lords, at least to that extent. At the end of his life, his belief in that demon king gospel shatters completely, but he wakes up back in the past when he was the valedictorian of the Demon Academy and shouts out his disdain of the established ways, causing him to actually end up back in the place of his death, but this time will certainly be different. The potential is 8 out of 10. Explaining the idea of a school where demon kings are trained with a curriculum is definitely different. Immediately throwing it though out the window and having Burj be the one that defies the common sense of their society and culture prepares an actual good blank canvas for things to get started. For now, I'm cautiously optimistic of this manhwa. The art is 8 out of 10 as well. From the get-go, the art actually seems quite promising. It evokes similar vibes or scenes reminiscent of I'm the Max Level Newbie. Even from the early on chapters, there are already quite the number of iconic pages, and if this continues, this manhwa is very something to look forward to. So if you're interested in newer stories, and my breakdown of its potential and art sounds like something you might enjoy, maybe even in the future, then try out The Demon King Has Too Many Heroes if you would. Welcome to the highlight portion of today's video. Our highlight today is the Swordmaster's Reincarnation, which I covered as Reincarnation of the Swordmaster in my previous video. It is now completed, which is about 80 chapters long, and the info card description will have links to my original opinion. The original main character was actually nameless and only really known as Captain of the Guard. But as he resolved himself to become a swordmaster, he died of old age as he finally received enlightenment. Waking up though as Asher, he embarks on a hero's journey to fulfill seemingly a full life that clearly has intentions for him. Considering it's completed now, be prepared to have a tale of humans, gods, demons, and accepting the reality as it is, even if it kinda seems ridiculous. While I did only cover up to chapter 22 from my last video, I actually didn't realize at the time that it was finished on chapter 80. So in terms of kind of putting a decent synopsis, there's actually less I'll put here compared to my original video. My previous scores for this manhwa was 9 out of 10 for potential and 7 out of 10 for art. The potential translates to about an 8 out of 10 for story, as overall it's quite a short and sweet plot that has one overall arc, tries to deliver on it, but actually feels kind of slightly rushed by the end, but overall it doesn't overstay its welcome. It's decent enough if you want something on the action side, but it doesn't present anything unique. The characters though translates to a 7 out of 10. From friends, family, allies, and enemies in both human and god form, there is a clear distinction between them, and there's no sense of mystery as to why. I will say though, there are some questionable motives or actions by some that maybe go plot armor clearly though. The art stays the same at 7 out of 10 as, honestly, it's just a decent action manhwa. Nothing crazy or impressive, but doesn't actually let it down too much either. Compared to the amount of manhwas I've read since I last covered this manhwa though, it lacks in the aura department a bit now. So if you enjoy completed stories, want something more on the short and sweet side, and I'm meaning about less than 100 chapters here, centered more on action, then give the Swordmaster's Reincarnation a read-through. Would you agree, or would you not? Comment down below your thoughts on this manhwa. Thanks so much for watching. Please like and subscribe if you enjoy the content. Write down in the comment section down below what manhwa you've been reading, and I might just take a look. Till next time though, have a good read.